Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with Rudy, a car thief, and he was just imprisoned for stealing a high-end car. He runs into Nick, another prisoner. They're having a nice time talking and quickly become friends. Nick is a friendly and outgoing individual. He and a woman named Ashley are writing letters to each other. He has painted an idealized picture of himself to her. They never met in real life, but she keeps sending photos of her to him. He tells Rudy about Ashley, and their plans to meet upon his release. He shares the love letters with Rudy, who quickly falls in love with Ashley. Next, because of the terrible diet, an inmate riot breaks out. Rudy and Nick watch as their fellow detainees raise a commotion. They don't want to cause any problems, because their sentences are set to expire in 3 days. It's not a good moment to get into trouble. However, trouble finds them. A fellow inmate with a strained connection with Rudy gets a knife from somewhere. To express his rage, he attempts to knife Rudy to death during the riot. Nick walks up to the bat just in time, and deflects the knife in Rudy's direction. Nick has a string of bad luck and gets killed. Rudy's heart is broken by his death. He steps out of the prison 3 days later, and watches other recently released inmates greeted by family and friends. Rudy, who has no relatives or friends, reaches his breaking point. Suddenly, he notices a familiar person in the crowd, Ashley, who has arrived to meet Nick. Rudy approaches Ashley after a little pause. He lies and claims to be the Nick she was corresponding with. She had never seen a photograph of Nick before, so she thinks Rudy is indeed him. Furthermore, Rudy accurately portrays most of their correspondence. As a result, Ashley has no reservations about Rudy. She then gets him to her house. They start growing a close friendship. He is utterly smitten with her after that. He even flushes his identity card into the toilet, to conceal his true identity and remain with his lover forever. However, the good times only last 2 days before the crisis strikes. They return home from the mall, and discover 4 armed men in their residence. The 4 men kidnap the 2, and load them into a large truck. The leader of the group, Gabriel, says he is Ashley's brother. It turns out Gabriel discovered the connection between his sister and Nick by mistake some time ago. Before Nick went to jail, he discovered he was the security manager of a casino. So Nick knew the casino's layout and security, like the back of his hand. In his letters, Nick mentioned that during the holidays, the casino's security is lax, and there are only a few customers. Gabriel had an idea after reading the letter. He plans to take advantage of the situation, robbing the casino during Christmas. He is keeping Rudy as a prisoner, since Gabriel mistakes him for Nick. He plans to force him to help him with his heist scheme. Rudy exposes his true identity after learning of these intentions, because he doesn't want to go back to jail. He informs them Nick died in jail. He pretended to be the other man in order to get near Ashley. However, Gabriel doesn't believe him at all, because he can't present any identification to establish his identity. So Ashley assumes he is fabricating a series of lies to get away. However, she tries to encourage Rudy to cooperate if he wants to live. At this point, Rudy, in order to preserve his life, agrees to assist their gang in robbing the casino. Gabriel pulls out a drawing. They have recently drawn a sketch of the casino's first floor. He asks Rudy to draw a map of the casino's second floor, and note the location of the security room alarm in the vault. However, Rudy has never been to a casino before, so he is unaware of this information. But he takes up the drawing and examines it. Then he states that the drawing of the casino's inside is not what he remembers. Perhaps the proprietor redecorated the casino while he was incarcerated. If that is the case, the casino's internal structure has to be altered accordingly. Following Rudy's words, Gabriel draws his gun and prepares to murder him. Rudy is so terrified that he agrees to go to the casino and check it out. Hearing that, Gabriel is pleased. The next day, Gabriel and the others dress him up like cowboys, and head to the casino. Rudy feels in his heart that it's useless, because no one in the casino knows who he is. To make matters worse, due to his outfit, he quickly piques the casino owner's attention. The owner approaches him and starts talking. This is observed by Harry, the gang member in charge of keeping an eye on Rudy. Harry suspects Rudy of tipping off the casino owner, so he draws a waiter, and inquires about the casino. He discovers the casino has never been rebuilt since its inception. Harry realizes Rudy is lying now. Meanwhile, Rudy finishes talking with the casino owner. He enters the bathroom, and Harry soon follows. They start fighting, and the gang member is thrown to the ground. Gabriel and the others, who are watching the casino's entrance, observe a man dressed as a cowboy exiting the casino fast. They start pursuing him, and come to a halt when they discover the man is not Rudy. He is just a guy with whom Rudy changed clothes in the restroom. Eventually, Rudy is able to flee. The gang realize they've been duped, and start looking for him. Shortly after, they spot him running in the woods, and a couple of criminals start running after him. Noticing that he is going to flee, Gabriel takes out his gun, and is about to shoot him. At that moment, Ashley races forward to stop Gabriel, and they slip down the snowy slope. Rudy watches Ashley putting her life in danger to save him, and returns to take her and run with her. Gabriel and the others begin shooting indiscriminately at the ice, as the two cross a frozen lake. Bullets shatter the thick ice, and Ashley falls into the water. Rudy plunges in right away to save her. Unfortunately, Gabriel and the others arrive and capture the two. The gang brings them inside a house. Gabriel stabs Rudy with darts, to punish his lack of cooperation. Then he binds Rudy to the room's bedpost, with handcuffs and chains. Rudy uses a dart he has secreted in his pocket to release the handcuffs, after Gabriel and others have left. He is ready to flee once again. Before he can leave the room, he hears Gabriel and Ashley conversing. Suddenly, he notices them kissing in the water. They are acting in a really intimate manner, and don't even appear to be siblings. He learns an unexpected secret from their talk. As it turns out, they are indeed a couple, and Ashley organized everything. First, she utilized her beauty trick to persuade Rudy to join the casino robbery plan. Also, at the lake, when Rudy was about to flee, Ashley stopped him with her tricks. When Rudy discovers the truth, his heart is devastated. When he is about to leave, two men are returning from outside. At this point, Rudy has to return to his room, and find another way out. Later, Rudy utilizes his imagination to tell Gabriel in detail about the casino's internal architecture, in order to gain his trust. The plan works, and Gabriel is persuaded. He plans to do it on Christmas Day, and Rudy takes advantage of the chance to make a suggestion. He requests to have a gun for the operation, and Gabriel agrees. However, the criminal gives him a replica water gun. He gives it to him for show, and Rudy is having a good time with it. He pours strong whiskey into the water gun, and drinks it to pass the time. On Christmas Eve, the group arrives at the casino. Ashley stands guard outside the entrance. Gabriel, Rudy and the others dress up in Santa Claus costumes. They pose as customers, and enter the casino. Inside, there are only a few customers. The few remaining staff members who are working late appear to be distracted as well. Rudy gets into a disagreement with a client at a table, as planned. After catching everyone's attention, Gabriel heads straight to the security room on the second floor. He plans to take over the casino's security system first. However, casino's interior layout was all a fabrication of Rudy's. He spends a long time upstairs looking for the security room, and shoots all three security guards, while they are eating in the security room. He tampers with the casino's security and alarm systems. Meanwhile, several robbers from the basement have a gunfight with the casino's security guards. All of the casino's security guards and two of Gabriel's guys are killed in a brawl. Gabriel and Harry rapidly assume command of the situation. They kidnap the casino owner and several employees. During the turmoil, Rudy attempts to flee. Ashley intercepts him as she storms into the casino. At this moment, Ashley removes her disguise. She is no longer delicate, and holds Rudy at gunpoint. In the meantime, the criminals raid the casino vault. However, Gabriel is not satisfied, because Nick indicated in his letter to Ashley, the casino owner possesses a treasure chest. Gabriel first beats up the casino owner, then he asks Rudy to confront him. The owner doesn't recognize Rudy, and his identity is totally exposed. Gabriel eventually understands he is not Nick. He has been deceived multiple times and feels cheated. Furious, he makes the decision to murder Rudy, who then remembers Nick mentioning this safe to him in jail. It is said to be hidden under the boss's wine cabinet in his office. Gabriel soon discovers a massive safe hidden behind the liquor cabinet, and forces the casino owner to open it. But just as Gabriel is ready to go up to examine the treasure inside, the casino owner takes two submachine guns from within, and opens fire on Gabriel and Ashley. However, he misses the targets. The owner takes advantage of the pandemonium, and sneaks out of the office, as Gabriel and Ashley flee for their lives. Harry continues to pursue Rudy, and they start wrestling. In the midst of the chaos, Rudy picks up a gun off the floor, and points it at Harry. However, the gun starts leaking alcohol from the muzzle. It is indeed the water gun he was given. Harry bursts out laughing at the sight, and grabs another pistol and points it at Rudy. He simultaneously takes out a lighter and a cigarette. Rudy can't believe his good fortune, and raises the gun to the fire, and shoots out a few tiny beads of alcohol, just as Harry fires the lighter. Harry bursts into flames, and at the same moment, Gabriel and Ashley assassinate the casino owner. After that, they track down Rudy. They overcome him, pin him to the truck, and plan to drive it over the cliff's edge. There is a broken down automobile hidden in the truck's cabin. Their plan is to push Rudy and the automobile off the cliff simultaneously, to fake the robber's death. They can get away with it this way, and use the money they stole to start a happy life. Rudy begins cursing after learning of their plot, knowing he can't escape. He describes Ashley as a cruel woman. She mocks him for being ungrateful, and scolds him for stealing Nick's girlfriend, who saved his life from the knife. Rudy is taken aback when he hears this. He did say that Nick died in jail, however, he never mentioned he saved his life. Rudy addresses his query. Gabriel, who is standing next to him, notices right away that something is wrong. At that moment, Ashley shoots Gabriel dead, before he can ask any more questions. Rudy is taken aback and perplexed. But before he can catch his breath, what's going to happen surprises him even more. Nick, who had died in prison, emerges from the shadows. He goes over to Ashley's side. Nick, it turns out, is the brain behind the robbery. Rudy and Gabriel's gang are nothing more than his hand-picked tools and scapegoats. Before Nick got in prison, he and his girlfriend Millie Bobbitt, aka Ashley, planned the crime. The guards and convicts were then paid off, and he faked his death. Nick suddenly appears to reap the benefits of the robbery, while perfectly getting away with it. After thoroughly outlining all the facts, Nick pushes Rudy into a gasoline-soaked automobile. His hands are bound to the steering wheel. They intend to stick to their initial plan of faking the robber's death in a car accident. But Nick has no idea Rudy is a vehicle thief. Just when Nick is about to push the automobile off the cliff, Millie is preparing to set fire to the car. Rudy has already cut through the ties in the automobile, with a spring-loaded knife he hid. He swiftly starts the automobile, and puts it in reverse gear. He slams into Nick, gravely injuring him. He then shifts gears, and drives Millie directly into the cliff, along with the car. Rudy leaps out of the car, just as it is about to fall off the cliff. Nick, who is on his last breath, begins pleading with Rudy for mercy. But Rudy refuses to even look at him, and shoves Nick and the truck off the cliff. Rudy is the eventual winner, but he doesn't take the illicit money. On his way back home to Sydney, he slips the money into mailboxes, as Christmas presents, and finally joins his family for Christmas dinner. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.